Hello friends, and welcome to the Hanged Man in the Moon. Friends, I'm going to do another unboxing. Well, it's not really an unboxing, but rather an unwrapping. Why? Well, I'd heard that these decks were about to arrive, and I decided that I would use them for the next lunar cycle, which begins this week on, I believe, Tuesday. So they arrived on Friday, and I tore into the box, and I looked, and I thought, no, wait a minute. I think I should try and curb my excitement and be patient and do an unwrapping, if not an unboxing of these. These are decks from Spain by the creator Jonasa Jaus. I believe that they are the 6th edition of the Jonasa Jaus Tarot, which is an edition or a deck that I've been wanting for years, and particularly for a specific color palette, because every edition is a little bit different. Yeah, the size is different. The 5th edition was a smaller deck, and I wanted these long cards. I also wanted the color palette that was similar to the original. And so when these came out, I jumped. And so let me show you what I got. We'll be right back, and I'll flip the camera around. Hello friends, and welcome back. So this is a deck by Jonasa Jaus, which is a creator in Spain, and this is what I received in the package. First, let me show you this lovely art card. Now, because this is coated, it's probably difficult to see. Let's see if I can get this. I'll turn it sideways, and out of the glare of the lights, you can see a lovely group of flowers. And the Jonasa Jaus Tarot is known for its floral art. And so this art card is a perfect match. You can see many different kinds of flowers, and I'm not going to pretend to know the names of all the flowers, except that I know that their names are all beautiful and the colors are beautiful. And so let me set this aside and let's focus on the decks. I say decks, and you may be wondering, why decks? Why are there 2 decks? Why are they different sizes? Well, this is, again, I believe the 6th edition, which, looking at the website for the creator, it's not available yet. The 5th edition is, I believe, still available. But I did not want the 5th edition because they're a more square card, and I wanted that original long shape for this artwork. And so I thought there were different sizes available, and I was afraid the large ones might be too difficult to handle, but the small ones might not show the art well enough, and I couldn't decide. And I believe there's also a mini deck available, which is smaller, maybe this big. And I thought, I'll get both of them. I won't get the mini deck. I'll get these 2. So I will unwrap and show both of them together, side by side. They're the same art. They're just different sizes. And I believe this is the color palette that I've also been waiting for. Each edition has a slight shift in color palette as well as other variations. So let's look at what is inside. I will carefully open up the packaging, this beautiful black tissue, which I believe has become very popular these days. I've seen a lot of black tissue paper being used to wrap decks, which I like. I like black. You could see from my sweater that black is one of my favorite colors. It was my favorite color when I was in my early 20s. Almost all of my clothes were black, partially because of my life in theater. Black is, oh, look at that color. Look at that. Look at that green on the back, on the box. This is the medium. Jonasa Jaus 6th medium. So yes, this is the 6th edition. And I love I love the color. Let's look at the big deck. And let me continue explaining my black addiction. When you work, I'm sorry. And the purple. This is the reason that I chose these decks, because of these two colors. I wanted the purple and green edition, and it looks like that's what I'm getting. Jumbo, Jonasa Jaus 6 Jumbo, Jonasa Jaus 6 Medium. And there's also a mini. So let me finish the black story. Working in theater, backstage, one needs to wear black. Well, one doesn't need to wear black. But if you're working the crew, if you're a stage manager, black is the color so that you're not visible from the audience. Scene changers also wear black. And I did a lot of tech theater when I was working in theater, as well as acting, as well as I did a little bit of design, but mostly I acted and stage managed. So my favorite colors and most of my clothes ended up being black. And so I like black. I like nighttime because I got used to working in the dark backstage. So that's me. And these are the decks. So they are tuck boxes. Now they are tuck boxes. And let's see if they're difficult to open. This one has, or they both have little plastic sticker seals on them. So I will need to open them carefully. Yep, the bottom has them too. Okay, so what I will do is I will go get a sharp object and slice these open and be right back. So by the magic of video, here we have the boxes open. And I also, while I was off camera, opened up the flip tops because didn't need to show you that. And I wanted to be very careful. So here we have both decks. Now, I looked at the camera, the image of my first clip, and noticed that this looks much more red on camera than it actually is. This is a very purplish color, just so you know. And let's get into the cards. I will pull out the decks, and there we go. Now let me flip them over to the backs because I like starting off with the backs. So there's the jumbo edition. And here is the less jumbo edition, the medium edition. You can see that they're basically the same pattern, yeah? Only one in green and one in purple and maybe mauve. The boxes are signed, yeah? You can see that this is number 770, maybe this is 179. Yeah, 179 out of 300. And this is maybe 49 out of 100. Okay, so I've got signed copies, but I believe these will be available on Jonasa Jaus's site. The inside of the boxes are nothing to write home about. And there's no guidebook, which might be a little bit of a problem for me because these are not standard images. These are not an RWS clone. So we'll see how they will read. Let me see, is there glare on this? No, there's not too much glare. Hopefully, let me get these more centered. Hopefully there won't be any glare to speak of when we go through these decks. So they're a semi-matte finish. The size, here's a standard US Games Rider-Waite Smith deck. You can see that the jumbo is jumbo indeed. But even the medium deck is larger than a standard tarot deck in a way. Yeah, you can see it's longer. It's thinner, but it's also longer. And it's this shape that I really wanted, along with the images and along with the color palette. So I'm really happy already, and I haven't even seen the decks yet. As well, now it's got a waxy feel to it. So these are coated. I really hope there's not going to be too much glare here. They're coated. It's a thick cardstock. You can see it's a chunky deck. Let me show you in comparison to a standard US Games Rider-Waite Smith deck. Here we have the Jumbo on its side, and here we have a Rider-Waite Smith on its side. And you can see it is a thicker cardstock. Can you see? Let me see. Let me get my hand out of the way. Can you see that? Can you see that? Yes, it's a thicker cardstock. So that will be fine. It's not super thick that it's going to be difficult to manage. I'll shuffle it for you when we get to that part of the video. But let's take a look at the cards and let's see. Okay, let's flip them over because I want to start with the Sun. Okay. So the card order is interesting. Let me come back again and I will put these in order. Just a moment. Friends, we're back and I have them in order from the Fool to the Pentacles, which I think is more useful than seeing random cards set side by side. And because this is a deck produced in Spain and shipped from Spain, but in Portuguese, having them in order will help me a lot more because where I can translate Spanish and Italian pretty easily. Portuguese is actually one of those languages that is a little difficult for me for some reason. Don't ask me why, it just is. So let's look at the cards. Here we have the Fool, O Toro. You can see that the images are the same. The only difference is that there are titles only at the bottom for the jumbo deck, and the medium-sized deck has a border top and bottom, which is fine with me. I wouldn't want to chop it off, personally, because the sides are free. And you can also see that these are both the same size, so the cardstock is the same. The only difference is the size. And it looks like they adjusted the image very well. I don't see much, if any, difference in the image. I mean, like nothing has been chopped off or left out of the medium, or this image doesn't look like it has been stretched in any way. So the production is very good. The line work is very clean. The color palette. Now, if it's not your style, it's not your style. But I love it. I love it a lot. And this system is of its own. Yeah. And I'll show you why as we look at the cards. So this is the Fool. And here we have what would be the Magician and O Mago, the Mage. That's similar. But you can see these are not Rider-Waite Smith images. They're not Marseille images. They're not Thoth images. They're their own thing. And I wish there were a guidebook. I'll have to look online. If there is a guidebook online, I'll put a little card or a little banner here at the bottom. Omejo. And here we have the High Priestess, Sacerdotil, which is similar to Latin-based, it's a Latin-based language, yeah, Sacerdota. So I can kind of understand that, but look at these flowers growing out of her eyes. And the cross on, so this Sacerdotice, I'm sorry, I do not speak Portuguese. I told you that. This High Priestess looks to me very much like a nun, with irises perhaps growing out of her eyes. Very interesting. I love these colors. And the moon on top. So we have that moon connection here. The Empress, Imperatriz. She's got her crown, she's got a flower, but none of the real traditional, what we think of as traditional images from either the Marseille or the Rider-Waite Smith or even the Thoth. No similar symbology. So this really is its own thing. The Emperor, look how dark. Now, I flipped through these cards trying to match the titles and the numbers to put them in order. So this is a rather dark deck. And you can see from this Emperor card, the skull, weeds growing through him. This guy has not been moving much in a long, long time. So it's like perhaps stability carried to the extreme. But you can see a shield in the back with JJ, Jonasa Jaus, perhaps. Interesting. Very, very interesting. This deck will take some study on my part. Oh my goodness, look at that Pope. O Papa. Now, so O is masculine and A is feminine for the article. Yeah, the. I mean, in Italian, il, la. Yeah, this is O and A. Now that could be a tattoo, but my first thought was that this was blood dripping out of the Pope's mouth. But okay, this is probably a tattooed chin. And the Papa, O Papa, looks like a female figure to me. Not necessarily so. I mean, you can see what you see. But I see a feminine upper body, at least, a female upper body. And there's a moon here at the top, which, interesting. Normally we think of the moon for the high priestess, okay, let's keep going. So, the lovers, yeah? Similar to like a hand fasting to me, and flowers growing. Skin tones. A thing that I like about this deck is because the skin tones are not going to be white, black, brown. They're going to be green and perhaps purple. That idea of diversity and somehow not completely human or not expected human diversity is going to be very nice in these cards. Let's look at the Chariot, which is interesting. It looks like astral travel to me. I'm sure it is astral travel. We have looking like a female figure lying in the daisies and spirit going up. So the movement is a spiritual movement here. Astral travel, interesting. Okay, I skipped one. No, I didn't skip one. Okay, I'm sorry, I'll put this back in place. I didn't put this in order correctly. So here we have, no, justice is correct. This should be justice. Just a moment. Where is the justice card? Where is the justice card? Did I put the justice card in the wrong spot? Okay, I've lost my justice card for this deck. Okay, I'll be back. I'll be back. Just a moment. Okay, so I'm back. I've got her back in place, and this is Justice. Now you'll notice that Justice is in the 8 position, which means that Strength will be in the 11 position. And here we have a hand holding a knife, cutting a flower. Interesting that that's the Justice image. But the flowers growing out of looks like a woman's head here to me. See, I wish there were a guidebook. So here we have the Hermit. Interesting that the Hermit is a moth or a butterfly already out of the cocoon. Interesting, yes? But look at these colors. Do you like these colors? Let me know in the comments below if this color palette is your style. It might not be. It's a very particular color palette, and if you don't like it, you don't like it. I totally get it. Here is the Wheel of Fortune, A Roda da Fortuna. So that's a feminine article here, And again, I said this is a dark deck, right? So the Wheel of Fortune is a corpse and spirit coming back out. So I suppose kind of a reincarnation wheel. I would think of this more as the judgment card, perhaps. I don't know, but that's what we've got. So this is going to take some sitting with for me. And here we have a Forza, strength. Yeah. And does she look strong? She looks vulnerable. She looks open. She looks a little bit like she's hiding herself. I'm not sure. Interesting, the placement for this foliage. She could be strong. She could be strong, but she looks a little bit protected to me. Self-protected. But that could be part of strength as well. I mean, we can't forget that self-protection is also a posture of strength. Okay, now this is my ride or die card of a deck. The Hanged Man. And if I don't like the Hanged Man, it'd be really difficult for me to buy a deck. And I like this one. It's not an easy card for me to read. I mean, it's not a disturbing image, but it's a moth or a butterfly in a cocoon, which, okay, sure. It doesn't strike me immediately as Hanged Man, except that it's a suspended creature. And perspective is in the process of changing from the caterpillar's perspective to the coming flying creature's perspective. That could be it. I need to, again, this deck will need some sitting with. Here we have card 13. You can see, just like in the Marseille system, there is no name to this card. This is card 13. In Rider-Waite and in the Thoth, there is a name. This has no name. Interesting. Doesn't look very dead to me. And that's dead. Dead is not the name, is not the thing for death. Death is not actual death. It's transformation, it's change. And I guess seeing the roots here and the growing flowers, yeah, I could get there. I can get there. Temperance, here we go. Now, she's not pouring the liquid between the cups, but we do have two different cups ready to be poured. We have the wings, similar to like the angel in the Rider-Waite Smith, and the Marseille. Here we have Odiano. Okay, the devil card. Interesting. Yeah. I wish I knew what these flowers are. Okay, let's keep going. And here we have the tower. And this is a stamen with lightning flashing in the background. Okay. So, like I said, a lot of flowers in this deck, right? Here we have the star. And we have a star and look coming out from the foliage to a sky. Curious if the way to perceive this might not be like this, but again, this deck needs sitting with. Flowers. Beautiful flowers in this deck. La Luna, here we have the moon. I'm sorry, Alua. Sorry, I went into Italian there for a moment by accident. Alua, the moon. Look at her hair. Or this person's hair, yeah. But wow, love it. Just love it. And here we go with the Sol, the sun, and no figures. You can see that there are human figures in many of the cards, but not in all. Might be about half and half. Beautiful flowers, growing, budding. And here we have justice. And yep, rising from the grave, a very Christian symbol here. Rising from the grave in a very zombie-like fashion. But justice, the rise, the calling. No, we don't see anyone or any being actually calling from above. This is perhaps a rising from their own willpower, their own force. We do have an alpha omega here in the background. We have somewhat Celtic looking symbology here at the top and center. And the world, a very pregnant world, ready to give birth and start a new world with vines around. It's looking like somewhat like planets in their orbits. Wow. And here we have the Ace of Wands, very singular, very flowery, rising up. And you'll see that the wand suit has a very similar background color throughout. And here we have the Two of Wands. Now, this looks similar to a Rider-Waite-Smith to me. I mean, the figure is not looking out into the distance with the two wands, but the distance is us. She's looking out at us, perhaps imagining us, seeing us. Here we have the Three of Wands. And a honeybee or a bee, perhaps a wasp, going through the flowers, beginning their creation, perhaps. And here we have the Four of Wands, a very resting card, a very stable card, reminding me a little bit of the Four of Swords, perhaps, but this is the Four of Wands. And here we have the Five of Wands. So is it a pip deck? Nah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, this is kind of a pip deck. These are not Marseille. They're not Marseille style. They are pipish, but then we have this kind of scenic scene in between. So it's its own thing. And here we have another figure in the Six of Wands. Perhaps in her glory. A very sensual, passionate card. Not so much a Rider-Waite-Smith success card. Here is the Seven of Wands, with a fire rising up. That flame has burst. The Eight of Wands, which, okay, this looks to me like the Rider-Waite-Smith 8, doesn't it? Those wands flying through the air. But here we also have a co-joining, a combining, a mingling of human energy as well, of passion. Here we have the Nine of Wands. Look at that. Now, okay, this could be like the barrier in the Nine of Wands of a Rider-Waite-Smith without the figure standing before, perhaps. And the Ten of Wands, and here, does it look like a burden? Not so much, but we have a figure carrying the 10 items, right? Doesn't look too heavy, but she can't really see. I mean, if this dress is a indication of the female form, this person cannot see very clearly for the flowers, but is radiating energy. And here we have the Page of Wands, Sota de Bastos. The pages are all female-looking figures. Here, look at my wand. And here we have the Knight. And the Knight could be male, could be female, who knows? All covered up, very much like a knight, Caballero de Bastos. Caballero, that's a masculine ending, but, you know. And here we have, oh, look at that queen. Look at that Queen of Wands. Love her clothes. For one, I love her outfit. Also, I love the color. I love her wand. Look at that. The size and the power. It's a flower. It's a flower, but it's solid. It's there. It's got strength to it. That stem is not going to wilt and bend quickly. Yeah? And here we have the King of Wands. Rey de Bastos. Yeah? Shielded a little bit, but look, the pants. The pants are not armored, just here in the chest, which is interesting. If this is a passion card, that his chest is shielded, if this is a male figure. But yeah, also, look at that flower. And the crown on the head. I love that crown. And here we have the Ace of Cups. The Ace of Cups, we have a flower growing out. Okay, but there are flowers in all. And the cups have this red background and purple cups. Ace. And here we have the two. The twos, again, have a woman, a woman, female figure. Don't see any cups, but we see This flower is probably going to go through, this somewhat daisy-looking flower. Yep, here we have 3 cups, 3 daisies, same background. Here we have the 4 of cups. And yeah, we don't have one being offered. She looks, I don't know, does she look dissatisfied? Perhaps. She's got 1 flower in her hair. We've got the 3 flowers here, and one of the flowers is in her hair, which is, I guess, a little bit reminiscent of the cup being, 1 cup being separate from the other 3. Interesting. She looks a little satisfied with herself, perhaps not satisfied with her cups. And here we have the 5 of cups. A little bit of wilting and falling away here. Reminiscent of the 5 of cups in the Rider-Waite-Smith, where there are 2 cups that have fallen. And there could have been, we have missing things here. A little bit of regret, perhaps. And the 6. Now this is interesting because you see this cup down here and the way she's looking. This makes me think of the 5 of cups in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. But this is the 6 of cups. Again, requiring a little bit of study on my part. I'm not ready to read this yet. Here we have the 7 of cups. Yes. 7 of cups, we have a bee collecting and pollinating. Imagining, perhaps, I'm not sure. And here we have the 8 of cups. She does not look very much like she's ready to walk away from anything. She looks pretty happy to me. 1 flower in her hair, no cups. So again, is it a pip deck? A pip deck would need cups. This is its own thing, right? Here we have the 9 of cups. 1 cup with 9 flowers. Yeah, see, there are not even 8 flowers here. There aren't even 8 flowers in the 8 of cups. But here we have 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 flowers. 9 of cups. Satisfaction? Perhaps. This looks like a little bit of an opulent cup to me. And the 10 of cups. Family? Perhaps. 10 flowers. And the Page of Cups. Now, she don't look too happy to me, but maybe I need to sit with this more. She looks a little dissatisfied, disappointed. I'm not sure. She definitely has emotion here. And the Knight of Cups, I see very little emotion, but we've got a cup on the banner. Now we got the flowers. We got the background. You can definitely see that this is the Knight of Cups. And the Queen of Cups. Look at that outfit, right out of a fairy tale, if you ask me. The flowers on her crown are beautiful. And the flower on her bodice. Look at that. And the King of Cups, looking to me a little bit like the evil queen in Snow White, just because this kind of reminded me of Snow White when I saw her. This suddenly reminds me of the evil queen. But be that as it may, we have the King of Cups. Yeah. Where are the flowers? Where are the flowers? I don't see the flowers. But the color, the background color matches the rest of the suit, right? Here we have the Ace of Swords. Yeah, a sword, the ace. These flowers and this coloration, a little bit similar to the wand's coloration, but a little bit different as well. Yeah. So let's go through and look at the swords. The 2 of Swords. Here we have the woman again, the flower. The 3 of Swords, shaped like the Rider-Waite-Smith. Kind of, yeah. This flower has been pierced by these swords. The 4 of Swords, not lying down, but meditative, sure. We have the 1 on the ground and the 3 separate. She looks like this woman, this female-looking figure, Looks like there's a little bit of armor here, shielding here, reminiscent, just giving that flavor. Here on the shoulder as well, giving a flavor of a knight in meditation, perhaps. Here we have the 5 of swords. Look at that. Look at that. Battle? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe not. 5 swords piercing a sun-like figure. Oh, look at that. 6 of swords. I never would have thought of pregnancy for the 6 of swords. But she looks very pregnant. We have 6 swords. She's got her sword girded on underneath her large belly. And here we have the flower, the sword's flower in her hair. Is she traveling? Maybe she is the ship. Maybe, I mean, if you think of the Rider-Waite-Smith, there's looks like a mother and child in a ship moving on. Maybe she is the ship. And here we have the 7 of swords. And no swords, we have the flower. We have a hand. Let me check for the 7 of wands, just quickly. No, there's no hand in the 7 of wands, so that's not a thing, like the 7s need to have a hand. Here we have the 8 of swords, and this looks to me like the Rider-Waite-Smith. Yeah, she's not bound, but she is surrounded by or somehow barricaded by these swords. Trapped in thought, trapped in her head. 9 of swords, reminding you perhaps just a little bit of the Rider-Waite-Smith. These would be up on the wall. There's no sleeping figure, but there are swords lined up like they could be on a wall. And here we have the 10 of swords. Wow. Wow. Look at that. The sword. She's looking at the sword, and you see the reflection of the sword in the glasses. She's not stabbed. She's not lying on the ground. Interesting. Oh, look at the glassware. Look at these wings coming out of the glasses. So part of me was afraid that the small version, or the medium version, I should say, there's a smaller deck, would be more difficult to read, but this doesn't look more difficult to read. I might still prefer using the large deck because I have large hands and I like large decks. We'll see how they shuffle. And here we have, okay, so that was the Page of Swords. Here we have the Knight of Swords, full body armor. The armor has the flower, the shield has the flower. The Queen of Swords. Not as fancy as some of the other queens, but I love her outfit. She's geared for battle, definitely geared for battle. Looking down at her, look at that crown with the flower on the crown. I think that's an iris. Please do not quote me. And wow, look at, I said this was a dark deck. He's not a skull, but that is a dark looking king, isn't it? King of Swords. We have the flowers up on the back and this card. Okay. So I do see some cutting off of image in some of these cards, yeah? The king, we lose some of the flowers in the smaller deck. We did lose a bit of her head. Yeah, we lose a little bit in the smaller deck, just a little bit. And this is the first place I really noticed it because I want to see these flowers, and having them chopped off a little bit on the top is a little bit dissatisfying. Not hugely. I mean, I would not throw this away by any means. I'm not sad or disappointed, or do I feel like I made a poor choice in choosing this deck. I'm very happy with this deck, but still, I wish I could have seen all of that flower, those flowers. And here we have the Ace of Pentacles, and the pentacles look like they're poppies. Poppies. Poppies will make them sleep. Sleep. So here we have the woman in the two. 2 of Pentacles. Now she's not balancing them. I mean, she's not juggling them by any means. And here we have the Three of Pentacles. And it looks like there are not going to be any actual oros, any actual discs in this suit. There are just going to be the poppies. Four of Discs. Does she look greedy? Perhaps, perhaps. Looks like she's protecting her four poppies. Similar to a Rider-Waite-Smith reading of this card. Not that that needs to be correct. Here we have the Five of Pentacles. Look at that. Five of... And yep, I can see perhaps a little bit of despair in this card. The way the water is coming out of the cup. Water is overflowing, like reminding me of tears and despair. The rain coming down. And you can see rain puddling here. And here we have the Six of Pentacles, or discs, which would be generosity, but different here. Yes, generosity in Rider-Waite, different here. I love the radiant beams shooting from her crown chakra, her head at least, something like a halo. Love that. Seven of Pentacles, and see, this is not something I would normally think of for the Seven of Pentacles. These stars, a starry sky, poppies under a starry sky. Oh, and we keep with the starry sky. The Eight of Pentacles. Here we have, instead of someone working, crafting, we have someone envisioning, imagining, and the circles of energy around her head. And here we have the Nine of Pentacles, or orbs. Interesting. Instead of satisfaction, I see rooting, growing. Would have made me think of perhaps the Seven of Pentacles, or discs. And here we have the Ten of Pentacles, or Ten of Discs. Wow, look at how lush that is. Absolutely full of flowers and butterflies. A butterfly and other flowers here, not just poppies, other flowers are here. We have the daisies. We have another flower here. And here we have the Page of Discs, of orbs. Looking very pensive, yes? The Knight of Orbs. And let's look at, okay, this queen also looks very pretty. I mean, she looks like her clothes are gorgeous. And look at the underskirt here. You can see the underskirt visible, which is an interesting point. I don't think I've seen underskirt in any of the other cards. Is she the nurturing queen? Perhaps. Perhaps. And here we have, wow. Now, again, a dark king. Yes, a very dark king. A skull with poppies and a poppy in the crown. Well, what do you think? I'd like to hear what you think below. What do you think of these cards? What do you think of this deck? I will give them both a shuffle to see how well they shuffle. Let's start with the mini deck, just because it seems like the thing to start with. I'll cut the cards. Let's see how will I cut the cards. I will cut the cards like this. So I told you this is a bit of a chunky deck, right? So let's see. Let's see. I will try doing it on top. So they riffle shuffle beautifully. They bridge beautifully. So, and let's see. For me, if I were to overhand shuffle these, I would do it this way, just because they're so long. And they don't clump. They shuffle marvelously, absolutely marvelously. So let me put this aside, and I will shuffle this deck a little bit. It is a larger deck, right? And let's see how am I going to handle this one. So I will probably shuffle like, wow, like Well, okay, I don't know how I'm going to shuffle this deck. Let's see, I can separate them here. And I cannot get my hand around it. I can't get my hand around it. So, let me see if I can shuffle from the side. Okay, I could get used to that. I can shuffle, I can bridge or riffle shuffle from the side. Let me try doing that again. What did I do? I separated the deck like this, put them side by side, and riffle shuffled the corners. I mean, it's not the prettiest shuffle, but you can see that it gets the job done pretty much. I mean, with a little bit more practice, I could get this done a little bit better. Let me try one more. Riffle shuffling from the side. I'm determined to work with the big deck. Let's see. Okay, so off camera, I would probably do a better job, but okay, so that one wasn't so successful. Let me try that one again. So if you're still here, thank you for watching this long. That works okay. Let's try overhand. And I will pull a card and see what we get. What is the card for us for today? What is a message that you want to tell us? What is a message that we want to hear? Yeah, I can't really do an overhand from the side. I need to do it overhand from here. Yeah. So yeah, it's a little bit awkward. And they are a little bit slippery. Not hugely slippery. The coating helps. Okay, so here we go. Cut the cards. And see what we... Sorry for the shaking. See what we get. What is the card for us for today? Okay, the Knight of Wands. The Knight of Wands, the card of passion, the card of following your passion and letting your passion carry us forward. This knight looks a little bit protected, so maybe we want to be a little protected. We don't want to go off on, there's no horse, and this one is there, to go off into our creation, into our activity, into our making without some kind of protection, I guess, on us. But we want to have that passion. We want to have the passion to work with new systems, to work with new kinds of decks, to grow, to expand, and to create afresh, to let our drives and our instincts carry us forward. And my instincts are telling me that this deck is going to be a very passionate deck. I'm going to do an interview, a deck interview with this deck, probably tonight or tomorrow, and I will put that on Instagram. So friends, if you're still here, again, let me know what you think of this deck. Do you have this deck? Do you have one of the earlier editions of this deck? Or the 5th edition? Are you waiting to get this 6th edition? What do you think of the color palette? I love the color palette. I just need time to sit with these cards and hear them speak to me. So friends, now as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.